There comes a moment in the life of every soul where the illusion of struggle and the endless cycle of waiting must come to a definitive end, because the search for answers outside of oneself is a labyrinth that has no exit. You have spent years searching and striving and questioning when your breakthrough will come. But I am here to tell you that the breakthrough you seek is not an event that happens to you in the physical world, but a realization that explodes within you in the silence of your own consciousness. You have looked at the calendar and marked dates for your salvation, and you have looked at your bank account and calculated the years until your freedom, and you have looked at the mirror and measured the time until your perfection. But all of this looking is a distraction from the only place where power resides. Nothing outside of you holds the key to your freedom, because the key has been in your hands all along and the door has never been locked. The world you see around you, with all its complexity and all its challenges and all its stubborn facts, is merely a reflection of what you have been assuming and believing and accepting as real in the silence of your own consciousness. It is a shadow cast by the light of your own identity, and you cannot change the shadow by fighting it. You can only change it by moving the light. We must begin by dismantling the great lie of time, because most people live their entire lives waiting for a future that never arrives. They believe that they must learn more, or earn more, or suffer more before they are worthy of their desires. They believe that transformation is a process of gradual improvement, where they slowly chip away at their flaws until they are good enough to receive their good. But this is the trap of the linear mind. Transformation is not a process of becoming, it is an act of being. It is a quantum leap from one state of consciousness to another, and it happens in the blink of an eye. What if I told you that in this very instant, without moving a single physical muscle, and without changing a single external circumstance, you could step into an entirely new reality? Your turning point is not in the future, and it is not dependent on the economy or the government or the approval of your family. It is not something you must work towards or earn through blood and sweat, because the price has already been paid by the very nature of your existence. It is a decision. It is a radical and total acceptance of a new truth that overrides the evidence of the senses. Close your eyes for a moment and strip away every limitation you have ever placed upon yourself. Imagine that you are standing in a vast empty space where the only thing that exists is your own awareness. In this space there is no history, and there is no memory of failure, and there is no voice of criticism. There is only the I am. Let go of the doubts that have plagued your mind, and the fears that have paralyzed your actions, and the excuses that have justified your smallness. Who would you be if you knew that absolutely nothing stood in your way? What would your life look like if you accepted without hesitation that you are already the person you wish to become? You do not need permission from the world to be great, because the world is only an echo of your own voice. You do not need more time to become ready, because readiness is a state of mind and not a matter of preparation. The only thing required is a shift, a radical and complete shift in how you see yourself. This shift is not about fixing the old self. It is about abandoning the old self entirely and stepping into the new version of you that already exists in the realm of possibility. You must understand that you are not a static being defined by your past, but a fluid stream of consciousness that can take any shape you desire. You are like an actor who has been playing the role of a beggar for so long that he has forgotten he is a king. He wears the rags, and he speaks the lines, and he feels the hunger of the beggar, but at any moment he can choose to step off the stage and remove the costume and remember his true identity. You have been playing a role. You have been playing the role of the one who struggles. You have been playing the role of the one who is unloved. You have been playing the role of the one who is sick, and you have played it so well that you have convinced yourself it is real. But the director of the play is you, and the writer of the script is you, and the audience is you. You can change the role right now. Decide right now that I am no longer the person who struggles. I am no longer the person who is waiting for a savior. I am the savior of my own world, because I have found the power of my own imagination. This realization is the instant of transformation. It is the moment you stop asking for permission to exist and start commanding your reality to conform to your will. Most people are waiting for a permission slip from the universe. They are waiting for a sign that says it is okay to be wealthy, or it is okay to be happy. But the universe is waiting for you. The universe is a neutral and obedient servant that says yes to whatever you claim as true. If you claim smallness, the universe says yes. If you claim greatness, the universe says yes. The authority you are looking for is not in a book or a teacher or a religion. It is in your own throat and in your own heart and in your own mind. It is the authority of your own conviction. When you rise from this moment, you must carry this knowing with you like a shield. You must not look back at the old version of yourself with regret or longing. You must leave the dead to bury the dead. You must walk as if your prayers have already been answered. Walking as if is not pretending. Pretending is acting a part, while believing you are not that character. Living in the end is acting the part until you realize you are that character. It is a subtle but profound difference. When you walk as if your prayers are answered, you are not trying to fool the world. You are training your own subconscious mind to accept a new normal. You are vibrating at the frequency of the solution rather than the frequency of the problem. Speak as if the world is already reflecting your new state. Change your inner conversation from one of pleading to one of thanksgiving. Instead of asking God for help, thank God that the help has already arrived. Instead of complaining about what is missing, talk about what is coming. Feel deep in your bones that you have already arrived. This feeling is the secret code that unlocks the vault of creation. Logic will tell you that you are lying to yourself, but logic is a tool for analyzing the past, not for creating the future. You must transcend logic. You must go to the place where feeling is the only fact. This is your turning point. And once you cross this threshold, there is no going back to the old version of yourself. You cannot unsee the truth once it has been revealed. You now know that you are the architect of your life. You now know that every moment is a choice. You can choose to react to the old circumstances, or you can choose to create new ones. The instant of transformation is frightening to the ego because the ego loves familiarity, even if that familiarity is painful. The ego would rather be comfortable in misery than uncomfortable in the unknown. But your spirit is crying out for expansion. Your spirit knows that you were built for more than this small life you have been living. Your spirit is urging you to jump off the cliff of your old identity and trust that your wings will open. Let us look deeper into this moment of decision. It is a psychological movement. It is a movement from the state of I want to the state of I have. The state of I want is a state of lack. It is a declaration that you are separate from your desire. As long as you want it, you cannot have it because the wanting pushes it away. You must move to the state of I have. You might ask, how can I say I have it when my hands are empty? You have it in your imagination. You have it in your consciousness. And because consciousness is the only reality, possessing it in consciousness is the only possession that matters. The physical manifestation is just a shadow that follows the substance of consciousness. If you have it in your mind, the world must produce it. It is a law as certain as gravity. If you drop a stone, it falls. If you drop a seed into the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, it grows. You do not need to force it. You do not need to make it happen. You only need to accept that it is done. Consider the story of the butterfly. The caterpillar does not strive to become a butterfly. It simply surrenders to the process of transformation. It enters the cocoon and allows the old structure to dissolve completely so that the new structure can emerge. You must be willing to let your old self dissolve. You must be willing to let go of the grievances and the victim stories and the identity of the one who has been hurt. You cannot take your baggage with you into the new reality. The doorway to your dream life is narrow, and only you can pass through it, not you and your problems. You must leave the problems at the door. You must strip naked of your past. This is what it means to be born again. It is a psychological rebirth. It is the death of the old concept of self and the birth of the new concept of self. This instant of transformation is available to you right now. It does not require a long period of meditation. It does not require you to travel to a holy mountain. It happens in the quietness of your own heart. It happens when you finally say, enough. When you say, I am done with this smallness. I am done with this fear. I am ready to claim my inheritance. That decision sends a shockwave through the universe. The atoms of your world begin to rearrange themselves. The people in your life begin to respond to you differently. Opportunities begin to appear out of nowhere, not because the world changed, but because you changed. You changed your frequency, and therefore you changed the station. You are now tuned into the broadcast of abundance and love and health. Do not let the simplicity of this message deceive you. The most powerful truths are always the simplest. We complicate things because we think that value comes from complexity. We think that if the solution is simple, it cannot be true. But I tell you that the power of God is simple. It is the power of I am. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am loved. These are not just affirmations, these are commands. When you say I am, you are defining the nature of your existence. You are placing a mold upon the creative substance of the universe. Up until now, you have been saying, I am tired, or I am broke, or I am lonely. You have been commanding chaos. Now you must take control of the command. You must become the conscious captain of your soul. As we move forward into this lecture, we will explore the specific mechanics of how to maintain this new state and how to deal with the doubts when they arise and how to navigate the bridge of incidents. But everything rests on this foundation. Everything rests on this instant of transformation. You must make the decision. You cannot sit on the fence. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot believe in your power and believe in your victimhood at the same time. You must choose. Choose this day whom you will serve. Will you serve the shadows of the past, or will you serve the light of the future? I invite you to choose the light. I invite you to choose yourself. I invite you to step into the grandeur of who you really are. Imagine for a moment that you have a heavy coat on your shoulders. This coat is woven from all your past failures and all the unkind words ever spoken to you and all your self-doubt. It is heavy and it smells of old dust. Now, imagine that you simply shrug your shoulders and let the coat slide off. It falls to the floor with a heavy thud. You step away from it. You stand up straight. You take a deep breath. You feel lighter. You feel taller. You feel free. That coat was never you. It was just something you were wearing. You are the radiant being underneath. This is the act of transformation. It is the shedding of the false skin. It is the revealing of the masterpiece that was hidden under the canvas. So do not wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is a thief. Tomorrow promises what it never delivers. The power is in the now. The decision is in the now. The transformation is in the now. Claim it. Own it. Be it. You are the operant power. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the cause and the effect. There is nothing outside of you. There is no one to change but self. And the moment you change self, the whole world changes with you. This is the promise. This is the law. This is your destiny. Step into it right now. Everything you see around you, every circumstance and every relationship and every success or failure is nothing more than a reflection of what you have accepted as true within the silence of your own being. We must begin this journey by fundamentally altering your relationship with the world outside of you, because until you understand the nature of the mirror, you will continue to fight battles that cannot be won. You look at your life and you see a collection of hard facts. You see a bank account balance that is too low, and a relationship that is too cold, and a body that is too tired, and you say to yourself that these are the causes of my unhappiness. You believe that the world is a solid, independent thing that is happening to you, and that you are a victim of its whims. But I am here to tell you that this is the great illusion that keeps humanity asleep. The world is not happening to you. The world is happening from you. It is a living, breathing projection of your past thoughts and beliefs and assumptions. Your current reality is not set in stone, and it is not a rigid, unchangeable fact that dictates your destiny. It is a mirror, and a mirror has no power to originate an image. It can only reflect what is standing in front of it. If you stand before a mirror and your face is dirty, you do not try to wash the mirror. You do not yell at the mirror, and you do not try to break the mirror in hopes that the reflection will become clean. You know that the mirror is neutral. It has no agenda. It has no opinion. It simply shows you exactly what is present. Yet in the game of life, we spend decades trying to scrub the mirror. We try to change other people, and we try to manipulate circumstances, and we try to force the world to be kind to us, while internally we remain angry or fearful or insecure. We are trying to change the reflection while refusing to change the face. This is the definition of insanity, and it is the cause of all your exhaustion. For too long, people have believed that life happens to them and that circumstances are beyond their control and that they are at the mercy of a cruel or indifferent fate. But this could not be further from the truth. The world you see is not separate from you. It is you expressed outwardly. It is what the mystics call you pushed out. Let us look deeply at this concept of everyone is you pushed out. This is perhaps the most challenging and yet the most liberating truth you will ever encounter. It means that every person in your life is playing a role that you have assigned to them in your own consciousness. They are actors in your play and they are reading the script that you wrote for them. If you have a boss who is critical and unkind, it is because somewhere in your consciousness you hold a belief in criticism or you hold a belief that you are not good enough. That boss is merely a messenger delivering the evidence of your own self-concept. He cannot treat you with respect if you do not respect yourself, because the law of the mirror is absolute. If you change your concept of yourself to one of dignity and value, that boss must either change his behavior to match your new state, or he must leave your world to be replaced by someone who can reflect your new reality. There is no exception to this law. This means that nothing you face today is permanent, because just as it was created through past assumptions, it can be reshaped and dissolved by new ones. If you want to know what you have been believing about yourself, you only need to look around. Your external life is simply the echo of your internal state. The relationships you attract, and the opportunities that come or do not come, and the level of success or struggle you experience are not random accidents. They are the natural and mathematical consequences of the assumptions you have entertained over time. You may not have realized it, but every thought and every feeling and every deeply held conviction has been constructing the reality you now occupy brick by brick. When you judge another person, you are actually judging a projected aspect of yourself. When you love another person, you are loving a projected aspect of yourself. There is only one being in the universe, and that being is God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination playing all the parts. Many people feel trapped in their current circumstances, believing that change is difficult, or that they must wait for external factors to shift before their lives can improve. They wait for the economy to get better. They wait for their partner to change. They wait for a lucky break. But this is waiting for the mirror to smile first. You can stand in front of a mirror for 1,000 years waiting for it to smile, but it will never smile until you smile first. The moment you shift your inner state, your external world must follow. It has no choice. The outer world is simply a mirror, and a mirror has no volition of its own. It cannot reflect anything that is not first presented to it. If you continue to carry the same beliefs and the same assumptions and the same inner conversations, you will continue to see the same results. But the instant you decide to change your inner world, your outer world begins to transform as well. We must address the phenomenon of the time lag. This is where many people lose their faith. They change their inner state for a day or two, and they smile at the mirror, but the mirror still shows the old reflection. They get discouraged and say that the law does not work. But you must understand that the physical world is dense. It is like a heavy ship that takes time to turn. When you look at your current reality, you are looking at a dead star. The light you see from a star may have taken millions of years to reach your eyes, and the star itself may have burned out long ago. In the same way, the circumstances you are facing today are the result of thoughts and feelings you had yesterday or last month or last year. They are the dead reflections of your past self. If you react to them, you are breathing life into the dead. You are recreating the same problems for your future. To be the master of the mirror, you must learn to ignore the current reflection and focus entirely on the image you wish to see. You must persist in the new smile even when the mirror is still showing the frown. You must know that the reflection is fluid and it is currently rearranging itself to match your new persistence. Do not be deceived by appearances. They may seem solid and they may seem insurmountable, but they are no more real than the reflections in a mirror. The wall of debt seems hard. The diagnosis seems factual. The rejection seems final. But these are just hardened assumptions. Consciousness is the only reality. Consciousness is the substance that hardens into facts. If you withdraw your consciousness from the problem and place it on the solution, the problem must dissolve. It has no life of its own. It only lives because you feed it with your attention. The moment you stop feeding the old reflection with your fear and your anger and your attention, it begins to wither, it begins to fade, and in its place the new reflection must appear. This is why we say that you must walk by faith and not by sight. Sight looks at the mirror. Faith looks at the face of the soul. Imagine your mind as a film projector and the world as the screen. If you do not like the movie playing on the screen, it does no good to go up to the screen and try to scrub off the actors. You must go back to the projector and change the film. The film is your concept of self. It is the sum total of everything you accept as true. If you accept that you are unlucky, the projector will throw scenes of bad luck onto the screen of your life. If you accept that you are blessed, the projector will throw scenes of miracles onto the screen. You are the projectionist. You have always been the projectionist. But you have fallen asleep in the booth and the film has been running on a loop of old patterns and old traumas. It is time to wake up. It is time to splice a new film into the reel. It is time to choose a genre of romance and adventure and triumph instead of the tragedy you have been watching. The world is yourself pushed out. This means that there is no one to change but self. This is a hard teaching for the ego because the ego loves to blame. The ego loves to point fingers. It says, I would be happy if only he would behave, or I would be rich if only the system wasn't rigged. But as long as you point fingers, you are giving away your power. You are saying that the reflection has power over the face. You are enslaving yourself to shadows. True freedom comes when you take total responsibility for your world. When you say, I did this, I created this drama with my own thoughts. And because I created it, I can uncreate it. This is not about guilt. Guilt is just another form of negative ego. It is about power. It is about recognizing that you are the operative power in your universe. Let us look at the practical application of this. How do you change the face in the mirror? You do it through your inner conversation. Your inner speech is the hand that molds the clay of reality. What are you saying to yourself when no one is listening? Are you arguing with people in your mind? Are you rehearsing failure? Are you complaining about the state of the world? These inner conversations are the seeds that grow into the forest of your life. If you want a different life, you must have a different conversation. You must start talking to yourself as if you are already the person you want to be. You must hear others congratulating you. You must hear the good news before it arrives in the mailbox. You must feel the handshake of success before the meeting happens. When your inner conversation matches your desire, the mirror has no choice but to reflect it. The mirror of consciousness is impartial. It does not judge you. It does not say, you are not worthy of this image. It reflects the beggar and the king with equal indifference. It is up to you to choose which costume you will wear. Most people wear the costume of the victim because it is comfortable and familiar. They get sympathy for their struggles. But you cannot be the victim and the victor at the same time. You must take off the rags of the victim and put on the royal robes of the Creator. You must stand tall before the mirror. You must look into your own eyes and see the God within. When you respect yourself, the world respects you. When you value yourself, the world values you. When you love yourself, the world falls in love with you. Consider the relationships in your life right now. Are there people who annoy you? Are there people who disrespect you? Instead of getting angry, try an experiment. Change your opinion of them in your mind. See them as kind. See them as respectful. Or if that is too hard, simply see them as irrelevant to your peace. Withdraw the energy of your reaction. You will be amazed to see how they change. They will either stop the annoying behavior or they will drift out of your life completely. They cannot stay in your movie if you do not write lines for them. You are the writer. Stop writing scenes of conflict. Start writing scenes of harmony. Stop writing scenes of lack. Start writing scenes of abundance. The actors have no choice but to follow the script. This understanding brings you to a place of profound peace. You no longer need to fight the world. You realize that fighting the world is like fighting your own shadow. It is exhausting and futile. Instead, you turn inward. You do the work in the silence of your own heart. You polish the mirror of your mind. You remove the dust of fear and the grime of doubt. You clarify your vision. And then you walk out into the world and you watch the magic happen. You watch the Red Sea part before you. You watch the mountains move. You watch the impossible become possible. Not because you fought for it, but because you became it. The mirror never lies. It is the most honest teacher you will ever have. If you want to know the truth of your inner state, look at your life. Do not hide from it. Do not deny it. Look at it squarely and say, this is what I have created. And then with a smile say, and now I will create something better. This attitude of playful mastery is the key. Do not make it heavy. Creation should be light. It should be joyous. It is a dance between you and your reflection. You lead and the reflection follows. Never forget that order. You lead. The world follows. As you move forward from this moment, carry this metaphor with you. Every time you face a challenge, imagine it as a smudge on the mirror. Do not reach out to touch the challenge. Reach in to touch your mind. Cleanse your mind of the belief in the difficulty. Affirm the solution. Affirm the ease. Affirm the victory. And stand back and watch the reflection clear. You are the cleaner of the mirror. You are the light that illuminates the image. You are the quantum architect. The world is yours to design, but you must design it from the inside out. There is no other way. This is the law. This is the truth. This is the mirror of consciousness. The shift does not have to be dramatic in the physical sense, and you do not need to struggle to make things happen, because force is the language of the physical world, but assumption is the language of the spiritual world. We now arrive at the very heart of this teaching, which is the law of assumption. This law states that if you dare to assume you are already that which you wish to be, and if you sustain this assumption without wavering, it must eventually harden into fact. This is not wishful thinking, and it is not a coping mechanism for a difficult life. It is the fundamental operating system of the universe. Most people believe that they must change the world before they can change how they feel about themselves. But the law of assumption reverses this order entirely. It demands that you change your feeling of self before the world can change its evidence. You do not need to force the outside world to change with brute strength, because the world is fluid and malleable and it has no choice but to reshape itself around the solid core of your assumption. To understand this law, you must understand the difference between thinking of your desire and thinking from your desire. When you think of your desire, you are looking at it from a distance. You are seeing it as something separate from you, something that is over there in the future, while you are over here in the present lacking it. This creates a gap of separation, and that gap is filled with longing and frustration. But when you think from your desire, you step inside the state. You look at the world through the eyes of the person who has already achieved the goal. You feel the wedding ring on your finger. You feel the weight of the keys to the new house in your hand. You feel the relief of the debt being paid. This is the act of assumption. It is the spiritual act of appropriation. You are taking what is not yet physically yours and claiming it as spiritually yours. And because consciousness is the only true reality, this spiritual claim is the only claim that matters. This is where the courage of the mystic is required. You must be willing to deny the evidence of your senses. Your eyes will tell you that you are poor. Your ears will hear the words of rejection. Your body may feel the symptoms of illness. But the law of assumption demands that you ignore these reports. They are false witnesses. They are testifying to a past that is dead. You must stay loyal to the new report of your imagination. You must walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil, because you know that your assumption is the light that guides you. This is not a passive waiting game. It is an active and dynamic state of being. You are constantly monitoring your inner world to ensure that you are staying in the state of the wish fulfilled. When you fall out of the state, which you will do in the beginning, you simply gently guide yourself back. You ask yourself, how would I feel if this were true? And you conjure that feeling again. You wear that feeling like a new suit of clothes until it fits you perfectly. Consider the nature of time in relation to this law. We live in a world that is obsessed with time. We want to know when it will happen, but the law of assumption transcends linear time. When you assume the state, you are collapsing time. You are bringing the future into the present. To the subconscious mind, there is no tomorrow and there is no yesterday. There is only the eternal now. When you assume that you are successful, the subconscious mind accepts that as a present fact and immediately begins to rearrange the furniture of your life to match that fact. It does not argue with you. It does not say that you are unqualified or that the economy is bad. It simply obeys. It sets in motion a bridge of incidents, a series of events and coincidences and meetings that will lead you inevitably to the fulfillment of your assumption. You do not need to build this bridge. You do not need to know what the bridge looks like. You only need to stand on the other side in your imagination, and the bridge will appear beneath your feet. Perhaps you have experienced this before in moments of confidence without realizing what you were doing. Have you ever noticed that when you feel confident and at ease, opportunities seem to flow effortlessly into your life? Or that when you expect difficulties, they appear almost as if summoned by a command? This is the law of assumption in action. When you assume that you are going to have a good day, you usually do. When you assume that a person is going to be difficult, they usually are. You are always using this law. You are using it every moment of every day. The problem is that most people use it unconsciously to create what they do not want. They assume the worst. They assume failure. They assume rejection. They are the architects of their own misery. The invitation today is to become a conscious user of this law. It is to take the helm of your ship and steer it deliberately toward the port of your desire. Understand this fundamental truth, that you are not bound by anything you see today. The financial struggles and the relationship challenges and the career setbacks are all temporary reflections of past assumptions that have hardened into fact. They are like ice. Ice is hard and solid, but if you apply heat, it melts into water and then evaporates into steam. Your current circumstances are frozen thoughts. If you withdraw the coldness of your belief in them and apply the warmth of a new assumption, they must melt. Do not be deceived by appearances. They may seem solid and they may seem insurmountable, but they are no more real than the reflections in a mirror. You would not fight a reflection in a mirror. You would not try to punch it or argue with it. You would simply change your face. If you do not like what you see, do not attempt to fight or change the reflection directly. You change the source. You change your inner state and watch as the world moves to accommodate the new you. Let us discuss the specific feeling of the assumption. Many people mistake this for high emotion. They think they need to be jumping up and down with excitement to manifest their desires. But the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not excitement. Excitement implies that it is something new and rare and perhaps fleeting. The true feeling of the wish fulfilled is naturalness. It is relief. It is gratitude. It is the feeling of, it is done. When you finally get the job you wanted, you might be excited for an hour, but then you settle into a deep sense of satisfaction and relief. That is the feeling you must capture. You must make the unnatural natural. If wealth feels foreign to you, you will not keep it. You must assume the feeling of wealth until it feels like your normal attire. You must assume the feeling of health until sickness feels like the stranger. The goal is to reach a point where your desire feels so natural that you would be surprised if it didn't happen. This brings us to the concept of inner conversations. Your assumption is maintained by what you say to yourself in the silence of your mind. If you assume you are wealthy but you spend your day complaining about the price of coffee, you are contradicting your assumption. You are a house divided against itself and you will not stand. You must align your inner speech with your assumption. You must talk to yourself as the person you want to be. You must hear your friends congratulating you in your imagination. You must hear the voice of your bank teller confirming your balance. You must hear the voice of your doctor confirming your clean bill of health. These inner conversations are the glue that holds your assumption in place. They prevent the doubts of the outside world from infiltrating your sanctuary. You must be vigilant. You must stand guard at the door of your mind and refuse entry to any thought or voice that denies your assumption. This is your power and this is your freedom. Nothing in your life is permanent unless you accept it as such. There is no diagnosis that cannot be reversed. There is no debt that cannot be paid. There is no relationship that cannot be healed. But you must stop looking at the problem. As long as you stare at the problem, you are feeding it with your life force. You must take your attention away from the lack and place it entirely on the fulfillment. This requires a mental discipline that few people possess, but it is the key to the kingdom. You must become indifferent to the bad news. You must become indifferent to the naysayers. You must become obsessed with your vision. You must live in the end. Living in the end means you are not trying to get there. You are already there. You are not hoping it happens. You are knowing it has happened. Right now in this moment, you can decide to assume something new. You can claim a new reality. You can declare that you are already the person you wish to be, and that your desires are already fulfilled, and that the life you long for is already yours. This declaration is a spiritual decree. When a king issues a decree, he does not wonder if it will be obeyed. He knows his word is law. You are the king or the queen of your own universe. Your assumption is your decree. When you assume a state, you are issuing a command to the formless substance of the universe to take shape. You are telling the atoms of your world how to arrange themselves. You are telling the people in your world how to treat you. You are telling the events of your world how to unfold. Do not abdicate your throne. Do not give your power away to circumstances. Sit on your throne and rule with the scepter of your assumption. As surely as the sun rises, your world will shift to match this new conviction. This is a promise based on law, not luck. The sun does not decide to rise sometimes and not others. Gravity does not work on some people and not others. The law of assumption is impersonal and impartial. It works for the sinner and the saint. It works for the rich and the poor. It gives you exactly what you assume you are. If you assume you are a victim, it will give you oppressors. If you assume you are a victor, it will give you victories. It is entirely up to you. You are the operant power. You are the one who chooses the setting on the machine. Most people are walking around with their setting on default, which is determined by society and their parents and the news. You must switch your setting to manual and choose your own destination. Let us talk about the bridge of incidents. When you assume the end, you do not need to worry about the means. The means are the domain of the greater wisdom within you. You may wonder how you will get the money or how you will meet the person, but the law of assumption says that the how is none of your business. Your business is the what? If you persist in the assumption, the universe will create a bridge of incidents that leads you to the fulfillment. This bridge may look like a series of coincidences. It may look like luck. It may even look like a tragedy at first. You might lose your job only to be forced to start the business that makes you a millionaire. You might get lost in a city only to bump into the love of your life. Do not judge the events. Do not curse the bridge. Just keep walking in your assumption. Trust that every step is leading you to the fulfillment of your vision. There is a peace that comes with this practice. It is the peace of knowing. When you truly assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you stop being anxious. You stop striving. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You relax. You rest because you know it is done. It is the same feeling you have after you order a meal at a restaurant. You do not worry if the chef is cooking. You do not worry if the server is bringing it. You sit back and sip your water and talk to your friends because you know the order has been placed and the food is coming. Manifestation should be that simple. Place the order with your assumption and then enjoy your life while it is being prepared. If you are anxious, it means you have not truly assumed it. You are still hoping. Hope is a beggar. Assumption is an owner. Be the owner. You must be willing to stand alone in your assumption. The world may call you crazy. They may say you are unrealistic. But remember that every great invention and every great achievement in human history was once called unrealistic. It was unrealistic to fly. It was unrealistic to speak to someone on the other side of the world instantly. It was unrealistic to go to the moon. But someone assumed it was possible. Someone lived in the end. And the world had to catch up to their vision. You are a pioneer of your own life. Do not look to the crowd for validation. The crowd is looking at the ground. You are looking at the stars. Hold your vision. Keep your faith. Your assumption is the solid rock upon which you build your castle. So today make a covenant with yourself. Promise yourself that you will no longer be a slave to your senses. Promise yourself that you will no longer accept the limitations of your birth or your background or your education. These are just stories. They are just old assumptions that have outlived their usefulness. Write a new story. Assume a new identity. Put on the cloak of success. Put on the shoes of health. Put on the crown of sovereignty. Wear them in your imagination until they become your physical reality. It may take 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months, but if you persist, it must happen. It cannot fail. The only way it can fail is if you give up. So do not give up. Be stubborn in your assumption. Be brazen. Be bold. The kingdom of heaven is taken by violence, which means a violent, radical shift in your own consciousness. Seize your good. It is waiting for you. It has always been waiting for you. Assume it now. Before we step into the role of the architect and learn how to build this new life detail by detail, I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to stop being a spectator and start being a creator? If this message is resonating with your soul, if you feel the truth of the law of assumption awakening within you, then take a moment to subscribe to this channel. This simple act is a signal to your subconscious mind that you are committed to this path of mastery. Join our community of awakened souls. Like this video to claim your new reality, and let us continue to the blueprint of your mind. At any given moment, you are only one thought away from an entirely new life, because the distance between your current reality and your desired reality is not measured in miles or years, but in a subtle shift of psychological position. The life you are living now, and the circumstances you see before you, and the challenges you believe you face, are not immovable forces that have been imposed upon you by a cruel destiny. They are simply the crystallized result of the thoughts and beliefs you have entertained and nourished up until this point in time. Just as your past thoughts have created your present reality, your next thought has the power to create a completely new experience. You must begin to view yourself not as a victim of the world, but as the chief architect of your own mind. An architect does not look at a pile of bricks and say that the building is impossible. An architect looks at the empty space and sees the structure in his mind's eye long before the ground is broken. You are standing in the empty space of the now. What you decide to build here is entirely up to you, and the materials you will use are your feelings and your convictions and your internal conversations. Most people believe that change is difficult and that transformation requires years of effort or struggle or external intervention. They have bought into the collective hypnosis that says you must pay a price in suffering to achieve a reward in happiness. But this is a false belief that keeps humanity locked in cycles of delay and frustration. The truth is that change is instant. The moment you shift your perception and the moment you decide to accept a new reality as true, your world begins to rearrange itself accordingly. The delay is not in the manifestation, the delay is in your decision. We procrastinate our own greatness because we are afraid of our own power. We are afraid that if we claim our good and it does not appear, we will be made fools of. But I tell you that the only foolishness is to possess the power of God and live like a pauper. Nothing outside of you has the power to keep you stuck. Only your attachment to old assumptions and old states of being holds you in place. You are the jailer, and you are the prisoner, and you are the key. Your reality is not created by external conditions, and it is not shaped by circumstances or by other people or by luck. It is shaped by the consciousness you inhabit. The word inhabit is crucial here. You do not just think thoughts, you inhabit states of consciousness. A state of consciousness is like a house. When you are in the state of poverty, you think from the rooms of lack and worry and envy. When you are in the state of wealth, you think from the rooms of abundance and generosity and ease. You cannot be in two houses at the same time. You cannot serve two masters. To be the architect, you must choose which house you will live in. You must move your mental furniture out of the house of fear and into the house of faith. This moving process does not require a moving truck. It requires a movement of mind. It requires you to detach your attention from the problem and attach it to the solution. Where your attention goes, your life flows. If you give your attention to the obstacle, you are feeding the obstacle. If you give your attention to the victory, you are feeding the victory. If you continue to assume the same things, and if you continue to think the same way, you will continue to experience the same reality, because the law of consciousness is a law of perfect reflection. It does not judge what you present to it. If you present a blueprint of failure, the subconscious mind will build a structure of failure with the same precision and energy that it would use to build a structure of success. It is impartial. This is why you must be vigilant. You must stand at the door of your mind and demand to see the credentials of every thought that seeks to enter. If a thought comes to you that says you are not good enough, you must reject it as a false blueprint. You must tear it up and throw it in the mental fire. You must replace it with a blueprint that says you are worthy and capable and divine. This is the daily work of the architect. You are constantly reviewing the plans and correcting the errors and reinforcing the vision. Consider for a moment the person you wish to be, and consider the life you long to live. Do not look at it as a fantasy that is far away. Look at it as a blueprint that is waiting to be built. What if you could step into that reality right now? What if instead of waiting for proof and instead of questioning how or when you simply assumed it to be true, what if you made the decision in this very moment to see yourself as already having arrived? This is the power of consciousness. The instant you decide to embody a new mindset, you are no longer the same person. The old person who was limited and afraid has died, and a new person who is limitless and brave has been born. This psychological death and rebirth is the secret of all true transformation. You cannot put new wine into old wineskins. You cannot put a new desire into an old state of mind. You must become new. You must renew your mind not just once, but moment by moment until the new state becomes your natural dwelling place. The external world is only a reflection of the inner, so it must shift to reflect this new state. It has no option. The world is a mirror, and you are the object. The mirror does not have a will of its own. It cannot decide to show a frown when you are smiling. If your world is showing you lack, it is because you are frowning at the mirror in your mind. You are holding a grimace of worry. The moment you relax your face and smile with the confidence of the wish fulfilled, the mirror must change. It may take a moment for the reflection to adjust, just as it takes a moment for a ship to turn, but the turn is inevitable. You must persist in the smile. You must persist in the assumption. You must not look at the mirror for validation. You must look at your own feeling for validation. The feeling is the cause and the reflection is the effect. Never confuse the two. You are the architect, but you are also the builder and the inhabitant. You must occupy the state. To occupy a state means to live in it mentally. You sleep in it and you wake up in it and you walk the streets in it. You do not visit the state of wealth on Sunday and then live in poverty the rest of the week. You move in, you take up residence, you become comfortable with the feeling of wealth, you become comfortable with the feeling of health. At first it may feel like you are wearing a costume. It may feel like you are pretending, but as you persist, the costume becomes your skin. The pretense becomes your nature. This is how all changes in character and destiny are brought about. It is a process of fusing your identity with your desire. You and your desire become one. You no longer desire it because you are it. You cannot desire what you already are. You can only express it. We must address the addiction to difficulty. Most people are addicted to the idea that life is hard. They wear their struggles like badges of honor. They bond with others over their shared misery. If you want to be the architect of a magnificent life, you must break this addiction. You must be willing to have an easy life. You must be willing to let things flow. You must be willing to accept that the universe loves you and wants to give you the kingdom. This goes against the conditioning of society, which tells you that you must earn your keep through sweat and tears. But the architect works with his mind, not his back. The architect uses leverage. The leverage of the mind is the law of assumption. One moment of pure focused assumption is worth 10 years of hard labor. You must respect the power of your own mind. You must treat it as a sacred instrument. Do not use it to dig ditches of despair. Use it to build cathedrals of joy. The architect also knows the value of silence. A great building is designed in the quiet of the studio, not in the noise of the construction site. You must learn to go into the silence. You must shut out the noise of the world and the opinions of others and the evidence of the senses. In the silence, you are alone with your own I am. In the silence, you can hear the voice of your own desire clearly. In the silence, you can impress your subconscious mind without interference. You must make time for this silence every day. It is your planning session. It is where you draw the blueprints for tomorrow. If you are too busy to go into the silence, you are too busy to live a victorious life. You will be a victim of the chaos of the world. You must find the stillness where you know that you are God. Let us speak of the materials you use to build. Your thoughts are the bricks and your emotions are the mortar. If you use brittle bricks of doubt and weak mortar of fear, your house will collapse when the storm comes. But if you use the solid bricks of conviction and the strong mortar of love, your house will stand forever. You must be a master of your emotions. You cannot afford to indulge in moods of depression and anger. These moods are destructive to your creation. When you feel a negative mood coming on, you must recognize it as a threat to your building. You must shift your attention. You must do whatever it takes to get back into the state of the wish fulfilled. Listen to music or read a book or take a walk or simply sit and breathe until you feel the shift. You are the guardian of your own vibration. No one else can do this for you. To be the architect is to take total responsibility. You cannot blame the contractor, and you cannot blame the weather, and you cannot blame the government. If the building is crooked, it is because the blueprint was crooked. This responsibility is terrifying to the weak, but it is exhilarating to the strong. It means that you are never a victim. It means that you can always go back to the drawing board. You can always erase the mistake and draw a new line. There is no permanent failure. There is only feedback. If you do not like your life, change your mind. It is that simple and that profound. You have the power to tear down the old structures of your life and build new ones from the ground up. You can renovate your health. You can remodel your career. You can reconstruct your relationships. The power is in your hands right now. Consider the layout of your mind. Are there rooms in your mind where you do not go? Are there dark corners where you hide your fears? The architect must illuminate the entire structure. You must shine the light of awareness into every corner. You must sweep out the cobwebs of the past. You must open the windows and let in the fresh air of possibility. Your mind should be a palace, not a dungeon. It should be a place where you love to dwell. If you do not like living in your own mind, how can you expect to enjoy living in your own life? Your external life is just a projection of your internal home. Make your internal home beautiful, and your external life will become beautiful. Make your internal home peaceful, and your external life will become peaceful. The time for waiting is over. The time for building is now. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to wait for a degree. You do not need to wait for money. You have the raw materials right now. You have your imagination and you have your attention. These are the only tools you need to start. Start where you are. Start with the desire that is burning in your heart right now. That desire is the blueprint. It was given to you by the universe because the universe wants to see it built. Do not ignore the blueprint. Do not roll it up and put it on a shelf. Unroll it, look at it, study it, and then begin to build. Build it in your imagination first. Walk through the rooms, touch the walls, see the view from the windows. Make it real in your mind, and it will become real in your world. You are the architect of the mind. This is your true identity. You are not the person who was born in a certain place and went to a certain school and works a certain job. That is just the character you are playing. You are the consciousness that created the character. You are the dreamer of the dream. Wake up to your power. Wake up to your responsibility. Wake up to your destiny. You have a masterpiece to build and the world is waiting to see it. Do not deprive the world of your creation. Do not deprive yourself of the joy of creating. Step into your role. Pick up your pen. The blank page of the future is before you. What will you draw? What will you build? The choice is yours and the time is now. When you finally accept this role, you will stop looking for a savior. You will realize that you are the one you have been waiting for. You will stop praying to a distant God to fix your problems, and you will start commanding the God within to solve them. You will move from a state of pleading to a state of decreeing. You will say, "Let there be light," and there will be light. You will say, "Let there be health," and there will be health. You will say, "Let there be abundance," and there will be abundance. This is the divine heritage of every human being. It has been forgotten, but now it is being remembered. You are remembering it right now. Feel the truth of it resonating in your cells. Feel the power rising up your spine. You are the architect. Build well. We have now arrived at the great threshold where the true work of the mystic begins and where the boys are separated from the men in the world of spiritual creation. It is the challenge of breaking the oldest and most ingrained addiction of the human race, which is the addiction to the evidence of the senses. From the moment you were born, you were trained to believe that reality is defined by what you can see and hear and touch and taste and smell. You were taught that if you cannot prove it physically, then it is not real. You were taught to trust the thermometer more than your feeling of health, and to trust the bank statement more than your feeling of wealth, and to trust the news more than your inner knowing. This conditioning has created a prison of the mind where you are constantly reacting to the shadows on the wall instead of the light that casts them. But I am here to tell you that the physical world is the last place you should look for truth, because the physical world is an echo of the past. It is a dead star. The light you see from a distant star may have taken millions of years to reach your eyes, and the star itself may have burned out long ago. In the same way, the circumstances you are facing today are the result of thoughts and feelings you had yesterday or last month or last year. They are the dead reflections of your past self. If you react to them, you are breathing life into the dead, and you are recreating the same problems for your future. You must understand that the senses are excellent servants, but they are terrible masters. They were given to you to navigate the physical world, but they were never intended to define your reality. When you allow your senses to dictate your mood and your belief system, you are enslaving yourself to the past. You look at your bank account and you see a low number, and your senses tell you that you are poor. If you accept this report, you vibrate with poverty and you create more poverty. You look at the mirror and you see a wrinkle or a symptom of illness, and your senses tell you that you are getting old or sick. If you accept this report, you command your cells to decay. This is the feedback loop of doom that keeps humanity trapped in mediocrity. To break this loop, you must develop the spiritual stamina to look at the facts and deny their final authority. You must look at the empty bank account and say, I do not accept this as my reality. You must look at the diagnosis and say, this is a lie. This is not madness. This is the highest form of sanity, because it is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality and that consciousness flows from the inside out. The addiction to the senses is driven by a deep insecurity and a lack of trust in your own power. You crave validation. You want the world to prove to you that your manifestation is working. You plant the seed of wealth in your imagination in the morning, and then by noon you are checking your email to see if the money has arrived. This checking is a form of digging up the seed. Every time you look for proof, you are saying that you do not believe. You are saying that the physical world is more powerful than your imaginal act. You must reach a point of conviction where you no longer need the world to agree with you. You must become so stubborn in your assumption that even if the whole world stood up and told you that you were wrong, you would simply smile and walk on, because you have seen the truth in a place where they cannot see. You have visited the future in your imagination, and you have felt its reality, and that experience is more real to you than the floor you are standing on. This is what it means to walk by faith and not by sight. Sight looks at the mirror. Faith looks at the face of the soul. Let us look deeper into the nature of this hard reality that you think is so permanent. Quantum physics has already proven what the mystics have said for thousands of years, which is that matter is not solid. It is energy moving at a slow vibration. It is mostly empty space, held together by consciousness. The wall in front of you seems solid, but it is a dance of atoms. Your body seems solid, but it is a river of energy that is constantly renewing itself. The only thing that holds these things in their current pattern is your observation of them. When you withdraw your attention from a pattern, it must begin to fade. But the addiction to the senses forces you to keep your attention glued to the problem. You obsess over the problem. You talk about the problem. You research the problem. You bond with others over the problem. And so the problem persists because you are feeding it with the energy of your attention. To break the addiction, you must learn the art of indifference. You must learn to look at the problem and feel nothing. You must withdraw your emotional investment from the current circumstances and place it entirely in the wish fulfilled. This is a radical discipline. It requires you to be in the world but not of it. It requires you to walk through a landscape of lack while carrying the feeling of abundance. It requires you to sit at a table with conflict while carrying the feeling of peace. People will think you are aloof or disconnected. They will say you are in denial. Let them talk. They are asleep. You are waking up. Denial is pretending something isn't there because you are afraid of it. Breaking the addiction to the senses is recognizing that what is there is temporary and malleable and subject to your command. You are not afraid of the facts because you know you created them, and you know you can uncreate them. You are the potter, and the circumstances are the clay. The clay does not tell the potter what shape to make. The potter imposes his vision on the clay. But if the potter is constantly looking at the lump of clay and crying because it is shapeless, he will never create the vase. You must see the vase in your mind before you can mold it with your hands. The craving for sensory evidence is the greatest trap on the path of manifestation. You say, I will believe it when I see it. But the spiritual law says you will see it when you believe it. The order is reversed. You must become the person who has it before you can have it. You must feel the relief of the debt being paid before the check arrives. You must feel the joy of the marriage before the partner appears. This is why the time lag exists. The time lag between your assumption and its manifestation is a period of testing. It is the universe asking you, do you really believe this, or are you just hoping? If you really believe it, you will not be anxious during the time lag. You will not be discouraged by the delay. You will be calm. You will be expectant. You will be like a person who has ordered a custom suit. You know it takes time to tailor the fabric. You do not go to the shop every day and scream at the tailor. You wait with the confidence that the suit is being made. Your desire is being tailored by the infinite wisdom of the subconscious. Do not interrupt the process by demanding to see the unfinished garment. We must also address the emotional component of this addiction. We are addicted to the chemical rush of our own reactions. We are addicted to the adrenaline of panic and the cortisol of stress and the dopamine of drama. When things are going wrong, we feel alive in a twisted way. We feel significant because we have a big problem to solve. Breaking the addiction to the senses means breaking the addiction to this negative emotional cocktail. It means choosing peace even when chaos is available. It means choosing stability even when drama is invited. You must starve the old emotional patterns. When the bad news comes and your body wants to go into fight or flight, you must intervene. You must take a deep breath and say, no, I do not accept this. I am the operant power. I remember when this was a problem, but now I am moving into the solution. You must interrupt the pattern. You must override the biological impulse to react with the spiritual impulse to act. This brings us to the practice of inner vision. If you are going to close your eyes to the outer world, you must open them to the inner world. You cannot live in a vacuum. If you withdraw attention from the senses, you must place it on the imagination. You must construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire, and you must enter into it with all the tones of reality. You must make the inner world so vivid that it crowds out the outer world. When you are in your imagination, smelling the roses of your new garden and feeling the breeze of your new life, you must be so absorbed that you forget you are sitting in a small room in a noisy city. This ability to displace the outer with the inner is the secret of the masters. It is how Nelson Mandela survived prison. It is how great composers wrote music while deaf. They refused to let their senses dictate their reality. They lived in the palace of the mind until the walls of the prison dissolved. You have the same power. You have the same capacity, but you must exercise it. It is a muscle that has atrophied from lack of use. You must become a sensor of the soul. Instead of asking, what does it look like, ask, what does it feel like? Instead of asking, what do they say, ask, what do I know? You must learn to navigate by your internal compass rather than the landmarks of the physical world. The landmarks change. The compass remains true. Your internal compass is pointing to your desire. If you follow the compass, you will reach the destination even if the terrain looks treacherous. But if you look at the terrain and get scared, you will drop the compass and get lost. Trust the compass. Trust the feeling. The feeling is the secret. It is the language that the subconscious understands. It does not understand your logic or your pleading. It understands your feeling. If you feel poor, you are commanding poverty regardless of how many affirmations you say. If you feel rich, you are commanding wealth regardless of what your bank balance says. There is a freedom that comes when you break this addiction. It is the freedom of invincibility. When you no longer need the world to be good, In order for you to feel good, you become dangerous to the status quo. You become unstoppable. You can walk into a hostile environment and remain loving. You can walk into a recession and prosper. You can walk into a terminal diagnosis and heal, because you are not drawing your life from the environment. You are drawing your life from the source within. You become a generator of reality rather than a reflector of reality. Most people are thermometers, they just reflect the temperature of the room. You must become the thermostat, you set the temperature of the room. If the room is cold, you do not shiver, you turn up the heat of your own conviction until the room warms up to match you. So how do you break this addiction in a practical way? You start by fasting, not from food, but from sensory input. Take time every day to disconnect from the news and social media and the opinions of others. Go into the silence, close your eyes and practice being blind to the world. In that darkness, practice seeing the light of your desire. Practice feeling the texture of your wish fulfilled. Do this until the inner world feels more substantial than the outer world. And when you open your eyes and return to the sensory world, do not let it fool you. Look at it with a detached amusement. Say to yourself, this is just the old film playing out. I have already changed the reel. The new movie is coming. This attitude of detached expectancy is the cure for the addiction. You are not desperate for the change because you know the change is inevitable. You must also guard your tongue. The tongue is the instrument of the senses. We talk about what we see and hear. We gossip about the problems of the world. We complain about our aches and pains. Every time you do this, you are cementing the addiction. You are anchoring yourself in the sensory world. You must learn to speak only of what you want to see. If you cannot speak well of a situation, remain silent. Silence is better than negative confirmation. Let your silence be a container for your power. Let your words be arrows of intention that you shoot into the future. Speak of your health while you are sick. Speak of your wealth while you are poor. This is not lying. This is prophesying. You are speaking the new reality into existence. You are calling things that are not as though they were. This is the divine prerogative of the awakened soul. The breaking of this addiction is the death of the old man. The old man lives by bread alone. The new man lives by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God, which is the human imagination. The old man needs to see to believe. The new man believes and therefore sees. This is a transformation of your entire operating system. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Your senses will rebel. They will scream for attention. They will try to seduce you back into the drama. But you must hold the line. You must be the strict gatekeeper. You must say, I see you hunger and I see you pain, but I am no longer your slave. I am your master. And as you persist, the senses will eventually submit. They will begin to show you what you want to see. The bank account will grow. The body will heal. The relationships will mend. The senses have no choice but to reflect the new master. Do not be discouraged if you slip. We all slip. We all have moments where the world seems too real and too heavy. When that happens, just catch yourself. Forgive yourself and get back on the high horse. Get back to the high watch. The moment you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the law begins to work for you again. It is never too late. You are never too far gone. The power is always in the present moment. Right now, you can choose to ignore the senses and choose the vision. Right now, you can close your eyes to the lack and open them to the abundance. It is a choice you make breath by breath and thought by thought. And each time you make the choice, you become stronger. You become more divine. You become the architect of a world that is not limited by the past, but is fueled by the infinite potential of the future. This is the path of the mystic and the path of the master. It is the path of walking on water. To walk on water, you must look at the Savior, which is your own ideal, and not look at the waves. If you look at the waves, you will sink. If you look at the ideal, you will be sustained. The water is the chaotic world of the senses. It is turbulent and unstable. Do not look at it. Look at the star of your destiny. Fix your eyes on the prize, and you will walk over the chaos as if it were solid ground. You will do the impossible because you have broken the chains of the possible. You have broken the addiction to the senses, and you have set your spirit free to soar in the boundless sky of imagination. The truth is, nothing comes into being without first existing in imagination, because imagination is not a byproduct of reality. It is the foundation of reality itself. We have arrived at the point where we must distinguish between the idle dreamer and the conscious creator. Everyone imagines. The beggar imagines his lack, and the sick man imagines his pain, and the lonely person imagines their isolation. They are constantly using the power of God to create the very things they wish to escape. This is the tragedy of the human condition. We have been given a tool of infinite power, but we have not been taught how to use it. We use it to replay the past and to worry about the future and to argue with our enemies in the silence of our minds. But the discipline of imagination is the art of stopping this wheel of chaos and turning it in the direction of your desire. What you imagine with conviction and what you believe to be real in your inner world must inevitably manifest in the outer world. This is not a theory. This is the mechanics of how the universe is built. Think of the greatest inventions and the most profound works of art and the most revolutionary ideas that have shaped history. They all began as an invisible image in someone's mind before they became tangible facts. The skyscraper was once just a thought. The symphony was once just a silence heard internally. The same is true for your life. Every success and every failure and every experience is the direct result of what you have previously imagined and accepted as true. If you look around at your current circumstances and find things you do not like, understand that they are not fixed. They are simply the byproducts of past imaginings that were left unsupervised. You imagined them in a moment of fear, or you accepted them from the news, or you inherited them from your parents, and because you did not reject them, they took root and grew into the forest of your current life. But just as they were created, they can be replaced. The moment you take control of your imagination and consciously direct it toward what you desire, you begin to reshape your future. But here lies the greatest mistake people make. They wait for proof. They refuse to believe in their desires until they see evidence in the external world. They act like a man who refuses to put wood in the stove until it gives him heat. They wait for a sign or for confirmation or for something outside of themselves to validate their new assumption. In doing so, they remain trapped in their old reality because the world has no power to originate. The world can only reflect. Your belief is the only proof required. You do not need to see physical evidence before you accept something as true. In fact, the moment you demand proof, you are affirming the absence of your desire. The world does not give you what you want. It gives you what you assume to be real. If you persist in imagining something with conviction, without doubt, and without the need for external validation, it must take shape in your life. This is not wishful thinking or daydreaming or idle fantasy. Daydreaming is a passive escape from reality, where you see yourself as a victim who is momentarily relieved. Controlled imagination is an active assault on reality where you seize the power to change the structure of events. This is the fundamental law of creation. What you hold in your mind with certainty must eventually harden into fact. The discipline required here is the discipline of focus. You must be able to call up a scene that implies you have what you want, and you must be able to enter into that scene until it feels natural. You must not stand on the outside looking in. You must step into the picture. You must see the world from the eyes of the person who has already achieved the goal. If you want a new home, do not look at the picture of the home. Go inside. Walk through the holes in your imagination. Touch the furniture. Smell the wood. Look out the window and see the view. Make it sensory. Make it vivid. Make it real. The process is simple, but it is not easy because the mind is unruly. The mind wants to wander. It wants to go back to the problems of the day. It wants to worry. You must train your mind like you would train a wild horse. You must bring it back to the wish fulfilled again and again. Close your eyes and see yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the reality of it. Live in that state mentally as if it were already done. Do this consistently with unwavering belief, and reality will conform. It has no choice. The world may tell you otherwise. It may tell you that change takes time and that success requires effort and that circumstances are beyond your control. But you must refuse to accept these falsehoods. The only thing that determines your reality is what you persist in imagining. Stop waiting for proof. Stop looking to the world for confirmation. The power is within you and it has been there all along. The moment you decide to believe in your vision with absolute certainty, without hesitation and without doubt, the wheels of creation begin turning. Let us speak of the method of the scene. To discipline your imagination, you must construct a short scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. It should not be a long movie. It should be a short action that you can loop over and over again. For example, if you want a promotion, imagine your boss shaking your hand and saying, "Congratulations on the new position." Feel the grip of his hand, hear the tone of his voice, feel the gratification in your own heart, and then do it again and again. Loop it until it takes on the tones of reality. Loop it until you feel the thrill of validity. This looping action drives the image deep into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. If you impress it with this scene, it will accept it as a fact, and it will immediately go to work to bring it about. It will move people, and it will shift circumstances, and it will create bridges of incidents that you could never have devised on your own. You must also master the discipline of inner speech. Your imagination is not just visual, it is auditory. What are you saying to yourself? Are you arguing with people in your mind? Are you defending yourself? Are you complaining? These inner conversations are the breeding ground of your future. You must discipline your inner speech to match your fulfilled desire. Talk to yourself as if you are already the person you want to be. Hear your friends congratulating you. Hear your family telling you how proud they are. Hear the bank teller telling you your balance. If you control your inner speech, you control your vibration. And if you control your vibration, you control your destiny. Do not let your mind run on autopilot. Autopilot is set to the default program of the world, which is fear and lack. You must take the controls. You must set the course. The discipline of imagination also involves the ability to ignore the time lag. There is always an interval of time between the imaginal act and the physical manifestation. During this interval, the senses will deny your picture. The world will say, "It hasn't happened yet." The undisciplined mind will panic. It will dig up the seed to see if it is growing. It will say, "I imagined it, but it's not here, so it must not work." This is the failure of discipline. The disciplined mind knows that the seed has its own appointed hour. The disciplined mind walks by faith and not by sight. It holds the vision steady even when the world is crumbling. It knows that the crumbling of the old world is just the clearing of the ground for the new structure. You must be brazen. You must be stubborn. You must refuse to take no for an answer from the physical world. You must persist until the outer world yields to your inner command. We must also talk about the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Imagination without feeling is dead. You can visualize $1 million all day long, but if you feel poor, nothing will happen. You must capture the feeling. What would it feel like if it were true right now? Would you feel excited, or would you feel relief? Relief is often the most accurate feeling. The feeling of, "Thank God it is done," the feeling of a burden lifted. You must conjure this feeling and wear it like a perfume. You must bathe in it. You must saturate your mind with it. This feeling is the chemical that develops the photographic plate of the mind. Without the chemical, the picture remains invisible. With the chemical, the picture becomes a permanent reality. You must become a master of generating feelings. You do not need a reason to feel good. You do not need a reason to feel wealthy. You can choose the feeling instantly. And when you choose the feeling, you summon the reality. There is a sacredness to this discipline. You are handling the fire of the gods. You are working with the primal substance of the universe. Do not use it lightly. Do not use it to harm others. Do not use it to manipulate. Use it to bless. Use it to heal. Use it to elevate. When you imagine good for another, you are imagining good for yourself, because there is no separation in the realm of mind. We are all interconnected. When you lift someone up in your imagination, you are lifting yourself up. When you see someone as healthy and whole, you are reinforcing health and wholeness in your own body. The disciplined imagination is a fountain of life. It blesses everything it touches. It turns water into wine. It turns lead into gold. It is the philosopher's stone that the alchemists sought for centuries. It was never a rock. It was always a mental faculty. You must practice this discipline daily. It is not something you do once and forget. It is a lifestyle. It is a way of walking through the world. You must become a person who lives from the inside out. When you wake up in the morning, before you open your eyes, lie in bed and imagine your day going perfectly. See the end of the day. See yourself lying in bed that night feeling grateful for a perfect day. This is called pre-paving. You are sending your imagination ahead of you to clear the road. You are arranging the day before you step into it. And when you go to sleep at night, review your day. If anything happened that was not to your liking, rewrite it. Revise it. Imagine it happened the way you wanted it to happen. This cleanses the subconscious of negative patterns. It stops the seed of trouble from growing into the future. This practice of revision is the key to breaking the chains of the past. Do not be discouraged if you find your mind wandering. It takes time to build mental muscle. Be patient with yourself. If you fall off the horse, get back on. If you catch yourself worrying, stop and flip the script. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose. Every thought is a vote for your future. Cast your votes wisely. You are the architect. You are the author. You are the director. The play is yours. The stage is set. The lights are on. What will you create? Will you create a tragedy or a triumph? Will you create a life of smallness or a life of greatness? The power is in your hands. The tool is in your mind. The time is now. Consider the silence. The greatest work of imagination is done in silence. You must learn to shut out the noise of the world. You must enter your closet and shut the door. The closet is the mind and the door is the senses. Shut out what you see and hear. Go into the silence where you are alone with God. In that silence, your imagination is most potent. In that silence, you can hear the still small voice of your own potential calling to you. Do not be afraid of the silence. It is the womb of creation. It is where the magic happens. Spend time every day in the silence, constructing your new life. Build it brick by brick. See the details. Feel the textures. And know that as you build it within, it is being built without. Finally, remember that you are not doing this alone. The moment you commit to your imaginal act, the entire universe conspires to help you. You have summoned the legions of the unseen. You have aligned yourself with the flow of evolution. You are supported. You are loved. You are guided. You do not need to struggle. You only need to trust. Trust the image. Trust the feeling. Trust the law. It has never failed, and it will not fail you now. The only variable is your persistence. Will you stand firm? Will you hold the vision? Will you remain loyal to the unseen reality? If you do, the victory is guaranteed. The discipline of imagination is the key to the kingdom. Take the key, unlock the door, and step into the life you were meant to live. We have journeyed through the illusion of the mirror, and we have dismantled the addiction to the senses, and we have learned the discipline of the architect. But now we arrive at the destination, which is not a place in time, but a state of being. This is the final awakening. It is the realization that everything you have ever wanted is already within you, waiting to be assumed and waiting to be believed. You are not a small human being fighting against a giant universe. You are the universe itself, seemingly limited in a human form for the purpose of expanding your own consciousness. The moment you accept this truth, the struggle ends. The moment you accept that your imagination is the creative power of God, you stop begging and you start claiming. You realize that you have been standing in a room full of gold while dreaming that you are poor. The awakening is simply opening your eyes to the treasure that has always been yours. Once claimed internally, it must appear externally, because there is no power in the universe that can stop a seed from growing once it has been planted in the fertile soil of faith. Your imagination is the blueprint of your destiny, and what you imagine with conviction you will live. You stand on the precipice of limitless abundance, yet your physical eyes deceive you because they are trained to see only the shell of reality and not the kernel. The reality you perceive with your senses is but a reflection of the beliefs you hold in the depths of your mind. It is a shadow cast by the light of your own consciousness. To become truly rich, you must step away from the tyranny of your senses and embrace the truth that lies beyond them. Riches do not emerge from toil alone. They do not come from manipulating people or exhausting your body in labor. They spring forth from the wellspring of your imagination. Close your eyes for a moment and dare to see yourself as you wish to be. Do not see it as a possibility, see it as a fact. Imagine the wealth flowing into your life like a mighty river that never runs dry. Feel it and live it and claim it as your own. This feeling is the seed of transformation. It is the signal to the formless substance of the universe to take shape and mold itself into the condition of your desire. The imagination is not a fleeting daydream or a trivial escape from the hardships of life. It is the core of your existence and the gateway to shaping your reality. Everything we see in the physical world began first as an idea and a mental image held in the mind. Before a skyscraper touched the heavens, it existed in the imagination of an architect. Before a symphony filled a concert hall, it resided in the mind of a composer. Before a nation was formed, it existed in the vision of its founders. This is the power of imagination. It is the womb from which all creation is born. To understand this truth, you must recognize that your imagination is not merely an instrument that you use like a hammer or a saw. It is the essence of who you are. You are an imagining being. You are constantly imagining. The world you perceive as real is nothing more than the outward projection of your inner beliefs and assumptions and visions. The so-called reality of your life is shaped and limited or expanded by the pictures you hold in your mind. The house you live in, and the relationships you nurture, and even the financial situation you find yourself in, are all reflections of what you have dared to imagine, or what you have unconsciously accepted as true. When you allow yourself to fully embrace the creative power of imagination, you step into the role of the master architect of your life. No longer are you at the mercy of circumstances or the winds of fate. No longer do you look at the economy or the political landscape and tremble. Instead, you realize that your external world bends and molds itself according to the images you consistently hold within your mind. This is not wishful thinking or mere positivity. It is the deliberate act of using your imagination to create a future that aligns with your deepest desires. Most people are trapped by the tyranny of their senses. They look at the world around them and accept it as the ultimate truth. If their bank account shows scarcity, they believe they are poor. If their relationships are strained, they believe they are unworthy of love. They let the evidence of their senses dictate their inner reality, and in doing so, they perpetuate the cycle of lack and limitation. What they fail to realize is that the external world is not the source of their experiences, but the result. The true source is within. The cause is always mental, and the effect is always physical. Imagination is the realm where transformation begins. When you close your eyes and visualize yourself as the person you desire to be, you are not just playing a game. You are planting a seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. This seed, when nurtured with belief and persistence, grows into the tangible reality you seek. It is not the fleeting act of visualizing once or twice that yields results, but the sustained feeling of already being the person you imagine. The key lies in embodying the state of your desire and feeling it as if it were already real, and letting that feeling guide your thoughts and actions. You must walk in the assumption until the assumption becomes your nature. Doubt and disbelief are the greatest obstacles to harnessing the power of imagination. When you allow yourself to question the validity of your inner visions, you weaken their creative force. The world outside may tempt you to believe in limitations by presenting facts that contradict your desires. But these facts are nothing more than the residue of past beliefs. To change your circumstances, you must look beyond the current evidence and persist in the reality you wish to create. The beauty of imagination is that it is limitless. It knows no boundaries and no restrictions and no constraints of time or space. When you imagine yourself as wealthy or loved or fulfilled, you align yourself with that reality. The universe, responding to your inner state, begins to orchestrate events and circumstances and opportunities that match the frequency of your imagination. This is not magic or coincidence. It is the natural law at work. It is the law of resonance. You cannot strike a note on a piano without the corresponding string vibrating. You cannot strike a note of abundance in your consciousness without the corresponding reality vibrating in your world. Gratitude plays a pivotal role in this process. When you feel grateful for the things you imagine, you confirm their reality within you. Gratitude is the language of abundance. It signals to the subconscious mind that you already possess what you desire, This feeling of ownership accelerates the manifestation of your dreams, bridging the gap between imagination and reality. It is crucial to protect the sanctity of your imagination. Guard it against negativity and fear and doubt. Your mind is a garden, and you are the gatekeeper. Do not let the weeds of the world take root in your holy ground. Surround yourself with thoughts and images that uplift and inspire you. Do not allow the opinions of others or the limitations of the world to corrupt your vision. Your imagination is sacred ground, and what you plant there will inevitably grow. To live fully is to live imaginatively. Your imagination is not a passive tool, but the engine of your existence. It is the space where you create the blueprint of your life, shaping your destiny, one thought and one feeling and one vision at a time. As you embrace this truth, you step into the infinite potential that has always been within you. The riches and the love and the joy you seek are not outside of you waiting to be found. They are within, waiting to be imagined into reality. This awakening brings with it a profound sense of responsibility. You can no longer blame your parents or your society or your bad luck. You know now that you are the author of the play. This realization might be frightening at first, but it is the only path to true freedom. If you created the mess, you can create the masterpiece. You have the power to revise your past and design your future. You have the power to forgive and to forget and to move on. You have the power to stand in the midst of chaos and speak peace. You have the power to stand in the midst of sickness and speak health. This is the heritage of the awakened soul. You are a creator. You are made in the image of the Creator, and your function is to create. Do not let your creative power lie dormant. Do not let it be used by the accidental programming of the world. Take the helm, steer the ship. Consider the legacy you are leaving. When you live from the state of the wish fulfilled, you become a beacon of light for others. You show them what is possible. You demonstrate the power of the human spirit to rise above condition. Your success becomes a permission slip for others to succeed. Your healing becomes a testimony that heals others. We are all connected in the great web of consciousness. When you rise, you lift the whole world with you. When you awaken, you help others to wake up. So do not play small. Do not hide your light. Shine it brightly. Assume the best for yourself and for the world. Assume that peace is possible. Assume that abundance is the natural state of humanity. Assume that love is the final truth. As we conclude this transmission, I want you to make a vow to yourself. Vow that you will never again be a slave to the visible world. Vow that you will be a master of the invisible. Vow that you will trust your imagination more than you trust the news. Vow that you will walk by faith and not by sight. This is the narrow path that leads to life. It is the path of the mystic and the visionary. It is the path that you were born to walk. You have everything you need. You have the mind. You have the desire. You have the law. Now you must apply it. You must do the work. You must be the person you want to be. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. The time for sleeping is over. The time for dreaming small dreams is over. It is time to wake up to your grandeur. It is time to remember who you are. You are the I am. You are the infinite awareness that cannot be destroyed and cannot be limited. You are the dreamer and the dream. Step into your power. Claim your birthright. The kingdom is yours. It has always been yours. It is waiting for you to accept it. Accept it now. Feel the weight of the crown on your head. Feel the scepter of authority in your hand. Rule your world with love and wisdom. Be the architect. Be the creator. Be the awakening. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your courage to see beyond the veil. Thank you for your willingness to change. Go forth and multiply your good. Go forth and bless the world with your fulfilled desires. The work is done. The seed is planted. The harvest is sure. Walk in the confidence of the final awakening. It is finished, and it is very good. You now possess the keys to the kingdom. But keys are useless unless you insert them into the lock and turn them. The work begins the moment this video ends. If you are ready to walk this path of power, leave a comment below declaring, "I assume my new reality." Let that be your first act of command. And if you know someone who is still sleeping, someone who is struggling in the nightmare of lack, share this video with them. Be the alarm clock for their soul. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue to explore these mysteries together. Go now and assume the best. It is yours.